All right. So I'm gonna exhale. I think I think everybody who is coming off of WrestleMania 40 um is just going to breathe because we need a moment
Yeah,
before we have to process Raw tonight,
yeah,
which
yeah.
it's unique in wrestling sort of context that the peak of the season and the end of the sort of the culmination of a season in wrestling, in pro wrestling, is literally the start of the next
Next
season.
season. Yep,
It's the
yep.
same thing. They
Yeah.
occupy the same. The end is the beginning in pro
Right,
wrestling.
right.
And you have, we've talked about pro wrestling on this show many a times, and to our YouTube listeners who haven't subscribed, we have many of podcasts where on our patreon.com/majestic comics, we talk a lot about pro wrestling
Yeah,
in the context of comics and storytelling. Because
right.
we use terms, all these terms, heel, baby face, going over, burying, all these,
Mhm.
it comes from pro wrestling. I have
Absolutely.
to ask you this in your most raw state, no pun intended, from yesterday.
Mhm.
How are you feeling? What is on your mind?
I am blown away, and I'm also, and this, by the way, is very unusual for me. Very optimistic about the future of the industry. Um, Not even necessarily about the results themselves, but how this was played out.
Mm.
Something Roman said in his pre match interview, where he was like, when COVID took place and the crowds were all gone, people were still getting up there trying to do their shtick the way they would do it if there was a crowd there.
Mm.
And what he noticed while he was gone, he was watching the product. What he noticed when he was gone was that nah, that's not how to do it. Now, because there's no overwhelming noise being pumped into the arenas by all the people there just yelling and hollering and everything, we can get more personable with the way we deliver the storylines. You no longer have to yell and scream and over emote, right? And to make sure that the person in the farthest, highest deck of the seating can hear and understand what's going on. Nah, now y'all can do some legit acting to move the story forward. And that's going to be, at least in that environment, that's going to have more of an effect than trying to do it it looks kind of weird doing it the old way when there's really no crowd there. It's just a bunch of screens.
Mm.
And the evolution of that, once the crowds came back, was that they did a mixture of the two. It was a balance now. And I think that type of storytelling is going to serve them well going forward, especially the long-term storytelling, which wrestling has always kind of delved into,
Mm-hmm.
but never really perfected, right? I think it's an opportunity for this to happen now. I really do.
So to your point, and one of the things I love about you is not only your kind of historical experience with pro wrestling that goes back before I was even born, but your your storytelling assessment acumen, in my opinion, is one of the best, if not the best, of anybody I've ever known.
Oh, thanks, man.
And that's because, and with all due respect, I'm not saying this to blow smoke. I'm just saying the reason why I like hearing your takes is because you always take the story
Yeah,
over the entertainment.
yeah, yeah.
And bro, that was on full display yesterday. We have now entered the Paul Levesque era. I don't even want to
Oh,
call him Triple H
me
anymore.
either.
With all due respect to the Attitude Era, Paul Levesque.
Yeah,
Paul Levesque. His name is Paul Levesque.
yeah. Put some respect on the
Put
name
some
his parents
respect
gave him.
on his name
Yeah, yeah,
because this man who is a staple of my childhood as, Triple H of DX and
Mm-hmm.
the pedigree and the
Mm-hmm.
game, the cerebral assassin, king of the ring,
Yeah.
the curtain call, all that.
Yeah.
He has now become something I didn't recognize until the 1, 2, 3, when
Yeah.
Cody, and I was rooting for the bloodline.
Oh, I
I'm
know.
rooting.
I
You know
know.
me,
Me
bro.
too.
I put them ones to the sky. I
Right.
acknowledge our tribal chief.
Right.
He's still our tribal chief.
Still a tribal chief, right?
And as a sidebar, congratulations to Paul Heyman, and his speech at Hall of Fame was so
It
amazing.
was
I
so
can't wait
amazing.
to get into that. But
So amazing.
to my point, to your storytelling assessment acumen, the story that we saw Paul Levesque and Nick Khan tell
Mm-hmm.
in the what is it been now? I mean, forget the pivot and the Rock and everything. This story's been going on for over 2 years.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? I mean, Cody came back. He was inserted kind of into the main event a roster almost immediately, kind of
Yeah.
bumping some people
Yep.
around and kind of ruffling a little feathers, but he earned it. I think it was a little shaky in the beginning. He was still trying to figure out how to, his routine and everything. But this story over the last 2.5 years has been a product of Paul Levesque.
Yeah.
And to me, that's who there are 3 MVPs this weekend, and we'll get into that. But like, I think he might be the MVP of WrestleMania. It's Paul Levesque and the ability to tell this story over 2 years.
Absolutely, bro. As a matter of fact, what he did with this is he validated something he had said years ago. He said, I'm a student of this game. He said that years ago. And I think because he was in heel mode, people took a lot of things that he said with him putting himself over, this, that, and the third. And to be fair, that's understandable for them to think that way because the way he played that Triple H character was I'm arrogant, I'm brash,
I'm a conqueror.
A conqueror, So in that, conquerors are always going to put themselves over.
Of course.
But as what we evidenced in the last 2.5, maybe 3 years of this run, this story, the way it was told, all the subplots, he validated that. He is 100% a student of the game. And I think he's still a student. He's still learning. And the one thing about him, Triple H, from everything we've seen about him, is open-minded enough to let wrestlers find your shtick, but authoritarian enough to go, we running with this. Right?
Of course.
We're running
That's a
with
great
this.
point. That's a great point, actually. It's funny that you bring that up when he said he was the game, because I go back to when he first said that. I remember when he first said that, and I was like, I don't know. That kind of sounds
right.
It's not like, kind of corny. Not really. I don't know if I really fucked with it like that.
Right.
If I'm being honest, if
right.
I'm not gonna be a revisionist and be like, oh yeah, I always thought.
I always thought. Right.
I'll be honest with you. I was suspect for sure. But then you start looking at what Jim Ross called him, which was the cerebral assassin.
Yeah,
okay?
bro. Yeah.
Okay. Then you go through his championship reign when he was top heel, right? He, in his prime, he was a heel. We do remember him from DX, babyface DX,
absolutely,
going against
but his prime was heel. His prime
was heel Triple H, King of Kings, the authority.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Evolution. Like that was the Triple H. And I'm not really sure where his gimmick ended and Paul Levesque began, or where Paul Levesque he is more close to his real life gimmick. He's more closer to his gimmick in real life than any other wrestler, in my opinion.
I agree, bro.
Even The Rock.
Yeah, even the Rock.
Great one, the most entertaining, the most electrifying.
Right,
Triple H is Paul Levesque is more Triple H than Dwayne Johnson is The Rock.
I agree 1,000%. As look, he married the boss's daughter in the lore. He married the boss's daughter outside of the lore. Like, what are we
Check.
talking about? What are we talking about? And now, again, as we stated previously, just through the execution of this, he has proven that he is indeed the cerebral assassin, not just in the ring, in front of the mic, putting over his character, but in reality. You notice how he does not, and this one thing I really appreciate about him, he does not insert himself anywhere near as much as some other people in his position would. He lets the characters be them. He doesn't attempt to go out there and overshadow them with something he says or he's out there doing. You don't see him coming out there to the ring every goddamn week, picking up the mic at the start of the show and talk. You don't see none of that, because I think he truly believes the strength of his product speaks for itself. And I'm going to let this go out here and play this out, and I'm going to have all of y'all on this roller coaster ride of emotions with fake endings that you thought, oh, this is the end. Nope, this ain't the end. Here's something else. Like,
Right.
he has shown me just through the execution of all of this. And mind you, we also got to put him over on the fact that there is a lot of shit happening in his personal life right now.
Right.
With his father-in-law, with the business. There's a lot of things happening behind the scenes.
You know what's crazy? And I don't mean to cut you off, but I wasn't even going to talk about his father-in-law. I wasn't even going to mention, because this is his moment. I thought about it earlier too, and I was like, you know, if he would have did this, if he would, nope, it's not his moment. It's Paul's moment. This right here is, he's going to, this, honestly, this may be more harm than good for Triple H, because he may be in the shadow of this forever.
Yeah, facts. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you watched Cody's post-match interview, but somebody asked him, so now that you have finished the story, what is there left for you? Meaning, you are coming on the heels of the greatest storyline in wrestling history, specifically the modern age, like the greatest. What do you do to top that? Because Roman is indeed a tough act to follow. Like it's not going to be easy to keep everybody engaged with you being champ.
Can we talk about Roman for a second here too?
Yes.
Because I know we started off talking about Triple H, and we'll get to Cody for all the crybabies out there. I totally understand you want to hear about your guy. I totally get it. We will get to Cody. However, Roman Reigns, I mean, standing ovation.
Yeah.
The bare minimum.
Yeah.
A Mount Rushmore spot possible.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's within striking distance.
It's definitely within striking distance.
You can see it from here. I mean, before, when people are like, he's his own mountain, like, nah, I wouldn't say that.
Y'all doing a lot. That's how I felt initially. Y'all doing a lot. Now,
it's an argument. You're gonna have to make an argument as to why the other ones are legitimately and definitively better than him.
Yeah.
Flair, okay, I'll give you Flair. Shawn, okay, I'll give you Shawn. Well, who's number 3? Don't say Hogan. He's better than Hogan.
Yeah, he's better than Hogan.
He's better than Hogan.
He's way better than Hogan.
Austin, let's be real. I love Austin. I think he's better than Austin.
Well, that's a hot take there.
It is a hot take, but you know what? Listen, Austin's reign. How long was Austin's reign? I mean, no disrespect to Stone Cold. Stone Cold is quite possibly the greatest ever.
Right.
But how long was his reign?
Let's see. Because I know one thing. I know it wasn't as long as Roman's, because Roman is number 4 now. He's not, his length is number 4. It's Bruno Sammartino first, number 1.
Okay.
Bob Backlund, number 2. Hulk Hogan, number 3, and Roman Reigns is number 4 now.
Well, he's better than all the people before him in the reign. As far as the reign of the championship that he had, he's better than Bob Backlund.
Yes.
He's better than Hulk Hogan.
Yes.
Personally, it's like you have to compare him to people like Sting and Flair and Shawn and The Rock, Austin, people like that, and then it gets muddy.
Right.
I think Roman and Cody will probably have a seat at this table too, but it's like he is in the ranks of the elite. When
Yes.
it's funny because when Rock came back, people said The Rock overshadowed him. And to some extent, you could argue, yes, but then it's The Rock, bro. Like,
Yeah.
he is
Yeah.
the most entertaining of all time. Let's just
Right.
stop, like,
He's
even
the
trying to
most
compare
followed man on the planet.
on the planet. Well, what are
Yeah.
we even talking about when it
Yeah.
comes to The Rock? He's going to overshadow anybody except for, Taker. And one thing I love is your connection with the Taker and the fact that the one guy, the
Bro,
one man, the
I
one
lost
trump
my
card
mind.
to the one trump card to the great one is the dead man.
I lost
And
my mind, bro.
it
When
was
he
it
popped
was
up, I felt like it was me. I was there. I finally showed up.
Dog, it was so amazing. But Roman should get his flowers. I think the entire experiment of the bloodline was a success. I think
Yes.
that's also something that should be attributed to Paul Levesque's
Mm-hmm.
creative direction.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Roman Reigns, that name and that legacy for what he did as the mountain.
Yeah.
He was the mountain Cody had to climb to become,
Right.
whoa, and
Right.
to me, there is something to be said about being a great villain. And Roman, maybe he wasn't Thanos, but he was pretty goddamn
He was
close.
pretty damn close to Thanos, bro. And listen, I'm looking at Stone Cold's World Championship title
Mhm.
reigns. It's not close, bro. Like, all right, so WWE Championship 6 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
Combined the duration 529 days. So
Oh, see.
the way you break this down, for me, it's duration of the title held of the time holding the belt, but it's also the impact, the storylines you were involved with, the effect they had on the fan base and on the industry going forward. Did it change things? Now, we can 100% say that Stone Cold's beef with Vince changed things. It changed the way owners interact with the product and how characters could really be doing bad guy shit and still be getting over with the fans, right?
Oh, for
Like,
sure.
you know what I'm saying? It changed that. So that's impact. Also sales, asses in seats. Austin put asses in seats. But I believe, me personally, that Roman has managed to do a whole bunch of things in those categories and some of the things that Stone Cold didn't. Because when you start mentioning, not only did Roman put asses in seats, not only did Roman sell merchandise, he was involved in the greatest storyline that spanned over 2.5 to 3 years. And on top of that, the duration of him holding that belt. Bro, these are separate categories that he excelled in. And I think how many times has Roman been world champ?
This may be a single reign. He's not like a two-time champion, is he?
I don't think so.
Bro, I think
Actually,
that was a single reign.
yes, he is, yo. He just had remember when remember what your boy Seth Rollins did to him? Hold up, title reigns. Your boy Seth did to him with
Oh, with the Plan B thing?
yeah, with the, let's see. All right. Complete greatest run. I'm not looking for the longest. Looking for how many title reigns did this man have as world champ? Because I think he had it before and it got snatched from him the same night. Because Seth Rollins with the Money in the Bank shit. Hold up. I think that's what took place. Because I laughed when it happened to Drew, even though I love Drew. But that's what's good for business.
That's what's great for business. And honestly, Drew is so much better chasing than he is defending. I love chasing Drew McIntyre. And
me too.
honestly, him and CM Punk, you could tell they worked on this together.
Yeah.
Like, I love the fact that CM Punk is just really getting along with everybody, and he's made the company better since he's been back. I want him to take over NXT. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but he is. I'm just glad that he's back and in a better place, man. Because
Yeah.
he was a bit abrasive to a lot of people,
Yeah.
and including the fan base. I felt like he was divisive to the fan
Absolutely.
base.
Absolutely.
But in the end, I think the sport is better because of him. He
Mhm.
is, and we talk about that Mount Rushmore. He might be on that Mount Rushmore,
Yeah.
right?
Well,
So
this is going to surprise you. Roman Reigns is a 6-time world champion.
is he really
6 times, bro.
6 times?
Yeah, he had the WWE Championship 4 times and the Universal Championship twice. He's also a 1-time United States champion, 1-time Intercontinental champion, 1-time WWE Tag Team champion. So he basically is a what do they call it? A grand champion.
Grand
He's a
Slam.
Grand Slam champion, yo.
Bro,
Bro,
I said Grand Slampion. That might be a title.
that's the title right now.
Yeah.
Yes, bro.
So
Yes.
let me ask you this about before we get to the match and everything.
Mhm.
Cody, to say that I'm proud of Cody Rhodes would be like acting as if I know him or something like that.
Mhm,
But
mhm.
I feel a great deal of pride of knowing that this is a guy who failed,
Yeah.
tried, failed,
Failed.
tried again, and is now at the pinnacle
Yeah.
of what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I think what people like to either see or what they like to assume is going to happen when they try to do things is, I'm just going to be good the first time out.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many times I quit rap? Do you know how many times I told myself, I'm not doing this no more?
Right.
I'm not gonna write songs. I'm not gonna write rhymes. Listen, bro, you are what you are. If you're creative, if you're an entertainer, you're gonna entertain, right?
Yeah.
And I think this is a person who really, really, really wanted to be a professional wrestler
Mhm.
and failed many times trying to figure it out.
Right. Right.
He was just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And he figured it out.
Figured it out through the bumps.
You're looking at a man who figured it out.
Yeah.
And in figuring it out, all of his dreams became true.
Everything.
The moral of the story is figure it out. Whatever you want to do, it can be solved for.
It can be solved for.
Whatever it is, it can be solved for. And he is now the new example of what can be solved for. The image of a person figuring it out.
Yeah.
And doing it their way with whatever, flaws that people say that they have. They're like, yeah, I'm going to own these flaws.
Yep.
I speak like this. I've got this legacy I got to live up to, this, that, and I'm still going to figure it out. And that right there is why so many people were so emotionally wrapped up into Cody Rhodes, because they're all just trying to figure it out. We're all just trying to figure it out. We're all Cody Rhodes.
We're all Cody Rhodes. Yo, more of us are Cody Rhodes than our Roman Reigns.
For goddamn sure. He is a one-off.
Yeah.
And to Roman, I will say this, which is interesting that you bring this up. He is a dynasty kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand Cody Rhodes' legacy and all of that, but like that tribe don't fuck around.
Different. Yeah, this is different. This is different. Yeah. Yeah. It's 100% different, bro. And the thing with Cody also is, for me, my connection to him is through his father. Like, when I was growing up, it was about Big Dust. When Big Dust came out, when the bad guys was bad guying, doing all the things that they had no business doing, and being audacious and jumping people and all this stuff, Big Dust comes out there and starts slapping knots on people's heads and putting them in their place. And he felt like something I told Cindy hit me up during the show. Mm-hmm. And she grew up with Dusty too. Mm-hmm. And I was like, she said, yeah, Dusty would definitely be proud of his kid right now. I said, absolutely. I said, the reality of the situation was Big Dust was like all of our dads. I remember that feeling. Oh, hey, Dusty here now. What you gonna say now, Rick? What you gonna say now, Nikita? What you gonna say now? Like, Tully, what you gotta say now, Tully? Dusty's here. Like, that was the sort of thing he had. So to see his son, by the way, Cody also said in his post-match interview You know, he wasn't born with all of the tools to do what he's doing. He said, my brother is 6'4". So you know how mad I was when I discovered I wasn't going to grow anymore?
Wait, how tall is Cody?
Cody's probably 6 feet even, maybe
No way.
5'11", something.
Can you look that up? He's got to be taller because Roman is like 6'5", right? Or maybe 6'4".
No. Cody's my height. He's 6'1".
Bro, you act like you're short.
I mean, no, I'm not short.
You
but
are
I'm not
tall.
I'm not 6'4".
I'm 6'4". I'm 6'4" and a half. I think everybody's tall because it's all relative, right? But like he looks like he's about 6'2".
Yeah, nah. When he
What is
stands, he's 6'1". And guess what? This is the thing that the height stuff, you got to really see people next to each other to see a lot of times. I only just noticed that Randy Orton was bigger and taller than Roman when he came back. I just noticed it because Roman's persona is so big, right?
Yeah.
Like, now let's look at Roman Reigns' height. He's 6'3".
6'3", so
yeah,
we're
Roman's
about
6'3".
the same height.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, I'm.
You got him by an inch, bro. You got him by an
inch. But here's the thing: I think The Rock is what 6'4", 6'5", right?
6'5".
6'5". Okay. Yeah. So and the genetics of that tribe, you can kind of see throughout all of the children and the cousins. Like Umaga was a monster,
massive.
You know what I mean? Like Rikishi was a monster.
Roman's
like those genetics.
Was a monster.
Yeah. What's Goldust's actual name? Is it Dustin? Okay, so Dustin and Cody are still genetic specimens by comparison of the quote unquote average human being, right? 5'8", 5'9", whatever.
Yeah.
So I don't, as much as I'm sure Cody was disappointed he wasn't gonna be 6'4", bro, you got a great wrestler body.
Yeah.
It's like Shohei Ohtani has a great baseball body. LeBron James has a great basketball body. There are these archetypal bodies that are just good, like John Jones, good fighting body, you know, long, lanky, stiff, you know what I mean? Like Cody has the look. I was watching him walk with the belt and the belt didn't seem too big. It's look, Io Sky is hilariously talented. I'm not ever taking anything away from her. She put on a great match during WrestleMania, but that belt looked way too big for her.
It did.
She's so tiny. It's like I'm not knocking her size. I'm just saying the belt just looked too big on her.
Yeah.
Cody, you don't feel like that with Cody, and there are male wrestlers where you kind of feel like that too, where it's like the belt just looks too big for your frame. Yeah, you know, I feel like that about CM Punk.
Yeah, me too. But the thing about Cody, going off of WWE culture, traditional culture, Cody is not the guy they would have put the strap on. Vince like big men, like huge men.
Yeah, he does.
You know what I'm saying?
No Diddy. He absolutely does.
No Diddy. He likes
what's crazy about Vince, and again, we said we weren't going to make this about him, but just the stark comparison in what he views as what a champion looks like. Cody would have never made
He'd have never been considered, bro.
And that's why it's like, I'm glad it's not his anymore. Listen, I'm just going to say this, and it's going to sound, people can cancel me or whatever. Thank you, Vince, for the shit that you did do that wasn't scummy and shitty. If you did some scummy and shitty shit, fuck off. But obviously, there were some things you contributed to my childhood and my love for professional wrestling that I'm appreciative for. And the McMahon family, Stephanie, Linda, Shane, you know, obviously Triple H, right? Like, but it's gone. Vince, I'm so glad Vince didn't make this call, because guess who would have went over? Roman. And I was rooting for Roman. And my eyes welled up when Cody won. And I'm like, okay, Triple H, you did your job.
It is job, bro. Look, I'm gonna tell you, when I got goosebumps, when the referee did the count and Michael Cole was like, finish the story.
Oh, what a call. What a call. Okay. Finally, our Michael Cole appreciation has begun. Okay, so Cody wins the belt. He walks over, I think, to Michael Cole, and he gives him a hug before he starts hugging, and he says something to him that I think he was like, we took this ride together.
Yes, that's what he said.
And holy shit, bro. I almost lost it.
Yeah.
I'm like, yo, I can only imagine what Michael Cole has told Cody Rhodes throughout this journey, when he left the
Mm-hmm.
company, when he was
Mm-hmm.
Stardust, like
Right.
when he was figuring it out, I can only imagine the journey. It's almost like that was as close to Stone Cold Jim Ross as I've ever seen.
I was thinking the same thing. I was thinking the same thing. And in no small part, that had to be from Jim Ross's mentorship of Michael Cole,
Of Michael
of
Cole,
how to
absolutely.
be the lead commentator and what your role is, not just on the mic and in front of the camera, but behind the scenes. And I
Yeah.
think Mike learned a lot from Jim Ross, because that's exactly what I see. The same thing you said with the Stone Cold and the Jim Ross. That's what I saw right there. And not to
Yeah.
mention the girl that called the ring announcer.
Oh, Samantha Irvin,
Yo,
the
when
second
her voice
MVP.
broke, yo, when her voice broke, bro, I was like, man,
Whoa. It was
yeesh.
like can we also finally start saying the Jim Ross announcing tree? Like the people
Oh,
who
hell
have come from Jim
yeah. Jim
Ross's
Ross.
announcing
Absolutely.
influence is
Absolutely.
so crazy. But Samantha Irvin, first of all, was on
She's on,
fire
she's on fire
both
the whole show. Yep.
days.
Yep. Both
Just
days, bro. Hmm.
absolutely murdering calls. I
Yeah.
mean, pristine control of her vocal range and how she was calling a big fight feel. Bruce
Yeah.
Buffer type.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
and in the challenger. Standing like she was so
Killing it.
huge.
She was
She was
killing it.
the second largest out of Roman.
Yep.
She was the second largest influence in the whole WrestleMania. Michael Cole was great on the call, but I feel like she was the voice of the event.
Well, here's the thing. My wife was saying on night one, oh, she's gonna lose her voice.
Man,
Nope.
after that first call, I'm like, yeah, she better kind of take it easy. I hope she's got that
Chill.
tea, that
Right.
whatever tea, that honey lemon tea going on, because
Right.
like I've
Right.
lost my voice during a show, and it is not
Me
fun.
too. Me too. Fun fact. Um, I was at one time slated to be a ring announcer at a show that was being thrown by Coach Calvin Ford in Baltimore. It didn't work out, but
Oh,
yeah, it didn't work out. But yeah, he said, I want you to be the ring announcer. I said, I've never done that before. He said, I know, but I see you on the podcast, and I've known you for all these years. You are articulate. You can do this. You can go down there and do that. So that was supposed to be a thing. That was supposed to be a thing.
I think you would have been great at it. You
I
definitely
probably
had the
would have
voice.
killed it. It just didn't work
You
out.
would have murdered. Yeah. So it's like her voice, and you could hear the wear on her voice throughout the night, right? Like
Didn't give
it
out.
wasn't. Yeah, because everybody's voice changes over time the more you use it. Like whenever I record, I usually record on a fresh voice. That means I don't really use my voice for 4 to 6 hours, right? Whether it's in the morning or I just don't
I
speak
record in the
throughout the
morning.
day. Yeah, that's what I kind of normally do. I record in the
Yeah.
morning because that's like I don't
Fresh voice.
have, and as much as I norch up, it's like that affects my voice in a negative way. So I, will wait, 8, 9 hours before. And then it's like
Right.
on show days when I perform, I don't smoke at all.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I'm a chimney except for days when I perform. When I perform, I don't. Just the way I've always done it. And you got to protect your voice as a performer. She does a fantastic job. Whatever she's doing, Ricochet, protect that woman at all costs.
Yeah, for real.
Her voice is in your hands, bro. We love you.
Yeah.
He's Spider-Man himself, and
He is Spider-Man.
He's
really
literally Spider-Man himself.
He
So
is.
I'm knowing if he's Spider-Man, she's Mary Jane. He ain't gonna let nothing happen to that woman. But she really did do a great job at protecting her voice, and it just, man, I could not. Her call when Cody won, I think everybody was her. And there's video now of her. She's a complete mess, and it's like, but she's all of us.
She's all of us. Yeah.
She's all of us. Samantha Irvin was all of us that night. And even though I'm rooting for Roman, I'm a bloodline dude. But that was the story. Hey, I'm also a pro wrestling dude.
Yeah.
And that right there is what we needed. Triple H knew that's what we needed. He knew that was the end of an era and the beginning of another.
That's right.
And I hope Roman does go to Hollywood and makes a whole lot of money.
Oh, shit ton of money.
I hope you make $1 billion, bro.
Yeah, for real.
You listen,
You
take
better get
advantage
it
of your
while the money's
genetics. Well,
there,
you better
bro.
get it while it's there.
Yeah, get it while it's
Um,
there, because that shit ain't gonna be as much what people think it's gonna be in a few years. I'm telling you, some shit
so let
coming down
me
the pike. It's gonna
so so
fall
let
down.
me so let me ask you about the match itself.
Yeah, yeah,
The main event. I mean, we could talk about a bunch of other stuff. We're probably not going to get to that stuff.
right,
We'll probably do that on another part 2 version of
right,
this.
right.
But the actual main event, what all this is, I can't even honestly, man. I don't even remember any of the other matches right now because that match was so amazing. That was the best main event I've ever seen. I posted
Yeah,
it
yeah.
on my
That's
Facebook page.
that is the best main event
What?
match I've ever seen.
And I challenge people were like best ever. I'm like, I challenge you to pick one that's better than that.
Pick
Please
one.
pick one.
Pick a finish that's better than that.
I mean, where do I begin? First of all, the fact that in the beginning it was just Roman and Cody and they were showing out.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
Roman is probably the safest wrestler on the main roster as far as
Easily.
him and Randy, I feel like are so safe with
Yeah.
people. They
Yeah.
protect people's bodies. And I know
They
Cody
really
has
do.
had injuries and stuff like that. And you never see, Roman trying to get Cody in an awkward style of a position. Most of the stuff is very clean and crisp and safe. And I think what I noticed in the first part of that match, I want to talk about the openings, the entrance musics and everything.
Yes.
But like just in the beginning of that match, there was just the safety and the crispness and the execution of both high level professional wrestlers, the top of their craft. And I think it was just good to see that at the highest level. No tribal shit. I don't care if you're an AEW guy or a New Japan guy. You can't tell me that wasn't the highest level of main event professional wrestling in this industry. I believe that it was.
100%.
But what was your thoughts on the entrances and everything between Roman and Cody?
So this is gonna be really petty. So I typically don't like the Cody's championship, or excuse me, WrestleMania entrances for one reason. Because on the game,
okay, this is petty.
Yeah, this is petty. Because on the game, when he has a championship, he doesn't do the whoa part, and the crowd doesn't do it at that point. At least in 2K23.
Oh, 23.
The new one it does.
Okay. Oh, okay.
So I wasn't looking forward to it, but they did do it here. So I got the best of both worlds. I got him with that crazy ass mask on coming up out of the floor, right? And then I still got him coming down, doing his whole little movements that he does and the interaction. First of all, bro, every single time that part of his theme song goes, I have to do well every time, bro.
Yeah.
Or it makes me laugh because to hear the crowd, like how into it they are.
I do it.
I do it every time, bro. I do it every time.
But I also do You Suck.
Oh, hell yeah.
You suck. I love Kurt Angle, right? And quick sidebar. How great is it that You Suck chant became a term of endearment for Kurt Angle?
I know, right? I know. And by the way, for those of you who don't know, I don't have the game yet, but I have seen Kurt Angle was in 2K24 and he does all of that, and it's the You Suck chant and it's all that. But anyway,
that's so awesome, bro. I had a homie who was involved in the Roman Reigns choir entrance. Mega Ran. Yeah, Mega Ran was involved in that. So shout out to Mega Ran. I know you lived one of your dreams. You've lived a lot of his dreams in pro wrestling, but it's pretty crazy that they chose a whole choir, and the quality in which that was done was pretty damn amazing. Yeah. And I almost felt like it was Look, I think we all knew that Cody was going over that night, right?
Yeah, I think we all did.
I think we all knew. We just didn't know how, and we just wanted to be satisfied with how it happened. And I think it's safe to say everyone's satisfied with how it happened. Even the Roman fans are satisfied with how he lost. That's how you bury a heel.
That's how you and again, me and my daughter was talking about it on after night one. Where we basically was saying they had to lose because all the odds had to be stacked against Cody for his win to feel satisfied. It's not
Agreed.
enough. If he'd have won that night, him and Seth would have won that night. And they went in and he had the title match and won the belt. I'm sure a lot of his core fans would have been, yay, Cody won a belt. But a lot of us that's into the business, that's interested in the business of the storytelling they're doing there, would not have felt satisfied. No, he had to go through it all, bro. And believe me when I tell you, Roman took him through it all, because nobody denigrates you in the ring more than Roman Reigns.
Well, yeah. And well, he threw a moon at Cody.
Yeah.
I mean, he literally threw a moon at Cody.
A moon at him.
He had the final boss in his family at his complete control.
The man who decimated Cody outside, talked about his mama and everything, Mama Rhodes. Listen, first and foremost, was it or was it not one of the funniest things I've ever seen in a ring during the course of a match when somebody uses somebody else's finish? I've never seen somebody then go after using it. I was just saying
that,
what it was.
Yeah, that move sucks.
It don't beat nobody.
It don't beat nobody. He was like, I kick out of it. Your boy kicked out of it.
No, he was. No, Roman didn't. Listen, The Rock was going to talk his shit, but Roman denigrates you in the middle of the match when he has you in a headlock. He's running his mouth right.
Yeah.
Yo,
no, he executed it pretty well too. I mean, yes, Cody does it so well, but I like the fact that they, in the main event of these sort of blow off top sort of matches, you get excuses to do things like that, like my finisher on a table, or like I get to do the opponent's finisher,
right?
Because I remember when Stone Cold rock bottomed The Rock, and I remember when The Rock Stone Cold stunned Stone Cold, and that was so satisfying. But to your point, we would have not been satisfied if Roman didn't throw a moon at Cody. And he had everything. He had Solo. And listen, I love Solo yelling at Roman. Like, it gave so much. Like, you never see Solo as animated like that. And he's just like, finish him. And he's like, I know. He's like, finish him. He's like, I know. It's so, the acting of that was just, everyone was invested. Right. Everyone was invested. Right. And of course, Michael Cole just continuing to just smack single after single, after driving and run after run, and just running up the scoreboard on his calls. Like, Michael Cole was so narrating the moon throwing. and before we even get into kind of like the so-called finish of it, because I think it was all the finish.
All of it was the finish.
The Rock being the final boss and understanding the business and knowing people so well, he might, with this final boss shit, he might have elected himself in 2032.
Yeah, if he
mark my words.
Absolutely.
Kids of today will be of voting age in 8 years.
Yeah.
And those kids are going to remember the final boss. They're not going to remember Attitude Era.
Nope.
They weren't alive during the Attitude Era like we were.
But they're
going to remember the final boss.
The final boss. Yo, that's so crazy.
Listen,
man.
Am I wrong?
No, not at all. Not at all.
What were your thoughts on this whole sort of? What were your thoughts on this whole sort of pivot of The Rock from People's Champion to the final boss and having to make this heel turn because maybe they underestimated Cody's popularity?
Well, okay, so here's the thing about that. To me, it was the natural evolution of the character. If you remember, early on, they had him playing this baby face that smiled all the time, even after he lost or was disrespected. He had the big dumb grin on his face. Like, if you hold on for 1 second.
Yep. Yeah. Interestingly enough about The Rock as he's stepping away real quick, I feel like this character. Okay, go ahead.
So it's the natural progression, right? Early on, he was the face that was just happy to be there. And then what got him over was him transforming into this very arrogant heel persona with the nation. And as he stayed in the nation, he eventually took it over and then dismantled it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And during that whole time that he did that, that level of arrogance was growing and growing and growing. And then he got to the point where he was the corporate champ. And for those of us that remember the corporate champ, this was quintessential Rock.
Yeah.
Corporate
Rock was amazing.
Corporate Rock was amazing.
Yeah,
right?
was an amazing heel.
He was an amazing heel. And even once he became a face again, he still had all of the arrogance of the corporate Rock. He was never the baby kisser. When you saw Rock walk down the aisle, you didn't see him slapping hands. Even as a good, quote unquote, good guy, he was the Rock. I'm too me to be self-absorbed with what you guys are doing. I'm the Rock. The only time I engage with the fans is for them to basically acknowledge him by doing all of his catchphrases and cheering when he says the millions. That was his shtick, right? I'm the people's champ. Then he left. And he came back as Hollywood Rock. Again, the arrogance, the aloofness, a little sillier, a little more cowardly, right? But that was part of the heel persona.
Of course.
He leaves again and he comes back. He's the most popular person on the planet. He's made millions and millions upon millions of dollars in Hollywood. He was the highest paid in Hollywood. This is literally what I would expect from corporate Rock, the evolution of corporate Rock. And now he's at a point where he's worth hundreds of millions of dollars. And now he owns a piece of the WWE. To me, the final part, this is, and then here's the other thing. For anybody that may be confused because you didn't follow his whole rise, The Rock has a pronounced mean streak. Nothing he did to Cody was out of character.
No, it wasn't.
If you look at what he did to Mankind
in
that I Quit match, nothing he did was out of character.
Oh my goodness.
Bro,
I mean, he had wars with Austin. He threw Austin off a bridge, bro. Like, I mean, he tried to hit Austin with a car a couple of times. He was a psycho. Like, The Rock was not a regular, like, people they didn't grow up in that time.
They didn't grow up in that time. Even as a good guy, too, I will never forget that episode of SmackDown where he bloodied TNA, Tess and
Albert.
He bloodied them both by himself. Like I said, bro, for those that are confused, well, he may have went over the top. No, he didn't.
Oh, no. Him. By the way, he had those same kind of wars with none other than Triple H. And I guarantee you, just as a point of order, I see people all the time saying, if Rock wasn't, TKO board member, he would never be able to say this and that and cuss like this and all that type of stuff. Let me tell you something. If Triple H had a problem with it, The Rock wouldn't do it.
Exactly.
Triple H gave him the green light because
all of that.
Yeah, because remember there was like an episode of Raw like 2 years ago where DX came back and they were saying like dick and all kind of shit, and they were just they didn't give a shit. They said all kind of cuss words, and so The Rock cursing is nothing new. Like,
Triple H was doing that shit.
Oh my goodness, so they were saying so much shit back in the day.
It was, bro. All kinds of double entendres and
blatantly obvious shit. So,
bro, their whole line. What was that? What was one of the catchphrases? Suck it. Come on, bro.
Oh yeah.
Listen. Anybody that thought that this was The Rock just doing that because he owned peace and this that, no, Triple H was going to let him do that because Triple H has done some wild shit in his career.
Yeah. And they have the money to pay whatever fines that happens with the FCC. Right. Like, they don't care. They have ECW people. Shout out to fucking Hall of Famer Paul Heyman.
Yes.
I mean, they it's funny because we hated it. Well, okay, we thought it was a good idea when it happened. Then we hated it. Then we thought, okay, maybe there's going to be some residual changes in the industry that make this whole thing make sense. But when WWF bought WCW, it all led to this moment, actually.
It did.
because there were elements of the last night that were ECW. There were elements of
Mhm.
last night that were WCW. There were elements of last night that were WWF Attitude Era. Um, it was almost like a major timeline had
Mhm.
been like codified
Yeah. Yeah.
with this. It was the Dusty Rhodes timeline that won
Yeah.
out.
The Dusty Rhodes
Some people
timeline.
thought it was going to be the Flair timeline with Charlotte. Some people
Yeah,
thought
you're
it was
right.
going to be like the Samoan timeline
Mhm.
with Roman. Actually,
It
it's
was
the
Dusty
Cody timeline
Cody timeline.
the
It's the
whole time.
whole Rhodes
It's the
timeline.
Rhodes timeline.
Rhodes timeline. Yep. Yep. That's what happened. That's what happened. And the funny thing is, the timeline hasn't stopped. Time is still going, right? So we don't know what else they have in the future. And just as another part of that match that I thought was amazing to see, just this is what I mean by the subtext and subplots. So Seth Rollins' whole storyline was affected by this bloodline shit. He took it upon himself to say, in character, none of the stuff we doing matters if the bloodline is still in control of this industry. Nothing we do matters. They will always be able to bury us. He sacrificed his championship.
You're right.
He sacrificed his championship to take the bloodline down. And here's the thing. He could have been extremely salty and not came down the ring to help Cody.
Nah,
I
he
lost
won't
my
do that.
belt. No. He came down, put the brownish dye in his hair, and threw on the Shield outfit. And mind you, what he said, right? Early on, when he first discussed this, he said to him, "I will be your shield."
Yeah.
And what is the last thing he did to help him? He came down there in the Shield outfit and distracted the final boss and all that shit. Like, yo, this is great storytelling.
I was gonna say
multi-layered storytelling,
the
bro.
masterful storytelling of Roman having to choose
Yes.
who to use that gun on.
Yeah.
Who are you
Yeah.
going to fire that shot at? On this hand, you have the man with Plan B, who derailed one of the greatest faction runs of all time,
Right.
and essentially sets you on the trajectory to become the tribal chief.
Yes.
Something
Yes.
you actively said you didn't want to become. You
Right.
didn't, but then you embraced it.
Right.
And
right.
then on this hand, you've got Cody Rhodes, the man who's standing at now trying to take all of that away from you.
Yeah, trying to take
And
food
he
off the table.
chose Seth. He fired on Seth. He comes around, he loses the chair and ends up losing the match. I think that was the last time he had an offensive advantage.
That's it. That's it, bro. And again, to see if we go step by step, just step by step, all of the subplots, lines being satisfied. Jimmy comes down, kicks the shit out of Cody. They jump in Cody. Here comes main event Jey Uso.
Yeah.
Coming down the ring. Jimmy goes up the Roman sends Jimmy up there, because it's important to say that Roman sends Jimmy up there,
right,
to engage with Jey. They have a Donnybrook. Jimmy gets speared off the stage, and they both land into the table. So he's out of the equation, right? Here comes Solo. We saw this last year. We saw Solo stop Cody dead in his tracks with that damn attack that he always does, right? That spike.
Samoan spike, yeah.
So
it's a great finisher, by the way.
Great finisher. So we're thinking, oh, here we go. Here we go. And just when he thought he was going to get pinned, Cody does the kick up. This is the championship kick up. This is the I will not be denied kick up, right? And Solo was like, what? Because it's never happened before. And then all of a sudden, what do we hear? John Cena.
Oh, yeah.
Who Solo beat the absolute
buried
out of. He buried him. He buried him last year. He buried him. Period.
And
that bad.
And no, me neither. And you have to consider that, like, John Cena got starched, and they allowed John Cena to basically show that he would just destroy Solo if he was in his prime. Basically, they basically showed you a glimpse of prime John Cena, who would have ran through a Solo Sikoa when he was in his prime.
That's a fact.
that's what they kind of did with John Cena, and I love that he was able to be put over. And I know what some people are saying today about the finish, because we're kind of going through this finish right now, which was, where was Austin? And I think what Triple H said was, I see your Austin and I raise you Taker. Okay. Now, the reason why is because if The Rock is going to be around, you can always pay off that Rock Austin storyline from 30 years ago, right?
Yep.
Like, that's always going to be there. But the reason why the Taker is so important is because The Rock never really subdued Taker in the way he subdued Stone Cold and Triple H. And, you know, he was able to really get over on those guys, and able to be definitively a better kind of overall superstar for the most part. I mean, Rock Austin, you could make an argument for, but I think Rock was definitively better than Triple H. Yeah. But he was never really definitively better in the ring, in the lore, in Undertaker. Yeah, so I think, it's harder to be better than Undertaker. So I think you go with Taker if you had to choose one or the other. I know if the glass breaks, it's the loudest pop since Mankind won it. Since the loudest that time the Stone Cold broke it with the pop, Mankind. But what were your thoughts on the
using Taker?
Yeah, so, them using Taker over.
The reason I
Austin.
thought that it was a good idea not to use Austin is because what the concept of this finisher seemed to be was it was tying up loose storylines that had never been really tied
up. Yeah.
Austin and Rock had been dealt with. Remember when the whole deal was Rock had never beat Austin at WrestleMania?
At WrestleMania, yeah.
Well, he got a chance to do that.
It was 17, right?
Yeah, it was 17. That's been tied up in a knot. It ended perfectly. And the reality of the situation is there was really no reason for Rock for Stone Cold to come there to attack The Rock. Story-wise, there's no reason for that. But with The Undertaker has put hands on Rock numerous times. Don't get me wrong, Rock has got out on him, because I remember a match where he not only did he Undertaker, he rose up after getting rock bottomed, and Rock was about to do the people's elbow. As he rose up, The Rock stomped him back down and then dropped the
people's elbow. That's right.
Right, you know what I'm saying? So that's happened. But also remember, Rock was a world champ. When Undertaker disappeared, he came back as the American Badass. Rock was the world champ. He was in an Iron Man match with Triple H. Remember that? So
I do.
So Rock probably would have won, but he was getting jumped. The Undertaker makes that time as it's time for him to come back, and him getting involved got Rock disqualified for that final fall, and Rock loses the belt off of that, right? So there's been this thread of, I appreciate you did that shit, blah, blah, blah. Rock then got him back and did things. He then got Rock back. To me, their story really wasn't tied up. And this is the second subtext for me. You're the final, you're the final boss. You 100% are the final boss. But you know who Undertaker was when he was active? He was the leader of the locker room. He was the conscience.
He was the actual final boss.
He was the actual final boss. People went to him. He regulated back there. Right?
Yeah.
So you coming out here now, Rock, your involvement in all this offends the Undertaker. This would offend him. This would offend him.
Well, there was something else too that took place, I think, right before that, which was Cena and The Rock. We kind of skipped over that.
Oh, let's talk about that.
Which is interesting because Cena and Rock have had a very public feud back in the past. Like, it was an actual feud. It was not like some wrestling angle. They legitimately hated each other.
They didn't like each other. And this is the other thing. The last time Rock and Cena fought, Cena won.
Oh, yeah, of course.
Cena won. So guess what? Rock just got his lick back.
Yeah. Well, and I would actually be willing to watch a Cena versus Rock at next year's WrestleMania or SummerSlam or something like that. If Cena wanted to give us, 10 minutes and The Rock had it, I mean, I don't know if Rock's going to be regularly, because I know he got in shape for this. He looked great.
Yeah, he did look great.
He looked great. I mean, The Rock,
training camp.
Jesus Christ, The Rock looked like $1 million fucking bucks. Of course, he always does. He's been that way. Very disciplined with his training. And, I'm not going to get into whether he's a natty or not, but whatever he's doing, keep taking that fucking Captain America juice, dog,
Right.
because
It's
like
super
whatever
solid.
it is, it's working, and I just hope to look that good at what is he 51?
Yeah, he's close to that.
Yeah,
'Cause I know I'm older
51.
than him, but yeah, like
Yeah,
um,
I hope to look like that at 51.
even
If
halfway, like,
yeah, shit.
but
So
no,
Cena versus
so
Cena
Cena
versus Rock.
versus Rock, right? And then the Undertaker came down. And to me, this shit played out like Endgame to me. Like it's like Cena basically Jay was like on your left when he came
Yeah,
out there. That was the on your left moment. Like
yeah,
no, I ain't letting you get away with that.
yeah.
And the
Yeah,
thing
no,
is,
Jay set it off, and I'm
he
glad
set
that
it
he
off.
didn't turn because I thought actually if they
I
were going to
did
put Roman
too.
over,
I
that
did
Jay was
too.
going to turn and that the bloodline was going to literally. I thought they were going to do. Maybe if they had time to play this out,
Mhm.
was Infinity. What was the one before Endgame? Infinity War.
Infinity War, yeah.
Yeah. So at the end, Thanos wins. Sorry,
Yes.
spoiler alert. He not only wins, it's definitive. Like he
Yeah.
wins and then credits.
He overwins.
Yeah, he overwins.
Yeah.
He wins out, right? And if you remember, it was like when you saw it in the theaters, you
Yes.
look around like you think it's a joke,
And it's not.
and it's
It was
not.
stunning. It stunned. And really, last WrestleMania was Endgame. I mean, excuse me,
Right. Or
Infinity War.
Infinity War.
Last WrestleMania was Infinity War because everybody knew. I remember the conversation back then. Oh, finish the story. Finish the story. They did this whole build up all that year. Finish the story. Finish the story. And then he lost. And then he lost. That was it. And everybody sat there with their mouth open, like, that's exactly what happened with Infinity War. I remember when I saw it in the movie theaters, I remember the crowd. And I had only experienced that one other time in cinema, Empire Strikes Back. I remember how it felt when we left the theater at Empire Strikes Back. Like, yo, Han is encased in carbonadium. Luke got his hand cut off. like,
Yeah.
like, yo, this is not, like
It's
I didn't know. We didn't know how to feel at the end of that, right? We didn't know how to feel at the end of that, and that's the second time I got a chance to feel that way was with Infinity War, and again last year at WrestleMania.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Maybe the title of this episode should be WrestleMania Endgame.
Yeah, for real.
Man, because that's what it felt like. It really did. Now that you say that, I can't unhear that. It was Endgame. Wow.
Yeah.
What a great. I mean, I thought honestly, if they were gonna do that, they would probably do it over another year and make the entire year just the war between the Bloodline and Cody's forces. And I thought you had Cody build this army. First, it was going to be divided amongst Triple H and sort of Rock lines, and Triple H was going to tap Cody and say, build your army, like he'd build the NXT army, and Cody was going to go around and basically pick, and it was going to basically be all the heels on one side and all the baby faces on another, and I thought you would get this sort of epic war over a year sort of thing leading to next WrestleMania where Cody would actually finish the story.
Yeah.
I would have booked it that way. I'm glad I'm not the booker.
Right. He pulled the trigger.
Yeah, I would have made him suffer for another year for sure.
Very important about that too. That comes to mind, and I don't. Those of us that don't deal with this every day, we don't have that intimate connection to it. But we lost Bray Wyatt.
Oh yeah,
and nobody expected it. The idea that you can project a year forward and think that nothing, a car accident, disease, something could take out your plans. That could have factored into, look, we're not taking a chance on having this once of a lifetime thing because he is Dusty's son. This does complete a loop, right? If something happened to him in the course of that year and he wasn't able to do it, we may never get a chance to do it like that again and close that loop. So when they probably looked at the entire buildup from last year and then the entire buildup this year, and then they actually got a boom when it was backlash about The Rock. That was actually that was a good thing that happened.
Yeah, that
Now,
was an absolute good thing that happened.
that was a good thing, because it added an extra obstacle that maybe they would have felt. Give them another year of obstacles. No, that right there sped up that year, I believe.
Oh
Because
yeah, The Rock is a whole year of obstacles in a single person.
yeah. Like once they put the final boss in there, bro, I think looking back on it now and the stuff that Rock did to him, I mean, Rock condensed a year of punishment, psychological damage, all of that in a few months. Talking to that man's mom, Mama Rhodes, to the point where me and my kid, we were out here doing that shit. Mama, Mama Rhodes, like to do that, to bloody him, and then tell the mom the only thing that's missing on this belt are your tears.
Damn.
So I'm coming to collect your tears on it. Bro.
He was like, fuck you and fuck his story.
Right. Again, those promos he was cutting on his Instagram
were so good.
Man, like this was the time. Philly they definitely got a blessing right there having that happen in their town. The first night it was freezing cold.
I know, it looked so cold.
Everybody.
It looked so cold. Everyone's blaming the audience. I was like, I think they're just cold, fucking bro. Frozen.
They were cold. They were
man,
cold.
And can I just say, the one thing I didn't like about this WrestleMania, it's literally the single only thing I didn't like about this WrestleMania, was that it was outside.
Yeah. My
I mean, what?
Why are they outside?
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. But
spring for that,
yeah, man, like, y'all should have been in the summer or something. Like, that should have been SummerSlam Stadium or whatever. Like, whoever booked that, I don't know if I agree with that stadium being used for the WrestleMania outside. I just, that looked so cold. I was shivering watching it.
Yeah, it looked cold, bro. And the thing is, I get there was a bunch of narrative stuff with them using Philly. So with the Sammy storyline with Gunther was the Rocky story. Like he even literally used some of the lines from some of the movies in the build up.
In the little promo that they did with
you
know when I knew he was going over?
How?
Is when Chad Gable said, "You owe me one."
Yes. Now where is that from? Where is that from?
I don't know.
That is from the sequel of Rocky, after he had taken the belt from Apollo and was fighting Mr. T, Clubber Lang. And Clubber Lang said, I'm going to train you, but after this, you're going to owe me something. And at the end of the movie, after he beat Clubber Lang, what he owed him was a rematch in their basement.
Oh, Apollo Creed said that.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I remember that.
Way too many parallels. Look, Gunther is the big Eastern European guy. Drago, the big Eastern European. Bro, it was so many. I was like, and now y'all in Philly. This is the Rocky story. This is the Rocky story.
However, I don't agree with that booking of Sammy going over. I don't. I love Gunther. I think he's a great champion. I think he's the best Intercontinental champion of all time. I think, I just felt like it should have been Chad. Sami Zayn, to me, either he should be going after one of the main championships. I just feel like he's too big for the Intercontinental Championship. I think he's a main eventer.
That's why he lost it. I think he's going to have a world championship run. That's what I think.
So you think Sami Zayn's going to win the world championship?
No. Gunther.
Oh, so you think Gunther lost it because they're going to push him to the main event? He's
about to be one of the people in the conversation.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense. That actually makes sense.
That's what I think happened. That's
so now it doesn't seem so big for Sammy, because now it's like, you're saying Gunther is more of a main event guy than Sammy. Okay, I'll take that. I'll take that.
Gunther has shown, don't get me wrong, Sammy is amazing. I fuck with Sammy. But Gunther has shown that he is a monster heel. And what Sammy has is either a sympathetic face or an annoying heel. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Gunther is a nuclear warhead. And if you put him in any equation for any title as somebody that's chasing the belt, he's going to be a nightmare. And if he goes and eventually chases after Cody, or even if it's Damian, he's going to be a nightmare, bro. Like it's going to be, the beat downs that he be giving people in these
Well, yeah. And I think that match between him and Damian Priest is going to be obscene.
Ugly. It's going to be
my goodness. That might be WrestleMania next year.
Yeah, that's going to be ugly.
Because if they take the belt away from Damian Priest, which, I got to say, when he cashed in,
masterful.
I could not believe that they were going to absolutely bury Drew McIntyre's championship reign.
I was wilding when this happened.
I could not believe that, bro. And I love Damian Priest. I love the Judgment Day. I hope they turn Judgment Day face. Please turn them baby face. Can we do something?
Yo, when Rhea beat the man Becky, that told me everything. That I was like, yo, Becky has a lot of respect over there. Her name, her branding, the way the people look at her. Rhea cleanly beat her. She beat her clean. Not with no cheating and chair shot. The ref wasn't looking. Somebody ran in. Nope.
Yeah.
She beat her clean. This was WWE doubling down on Rhea Ripley as the face of the women's division.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
This was them to beat Becky, knowing what Becky meant to that company, cleanly is a statement. That's not something that, well, you want to preserve. Like, cause sometimes they do that. They'll have the villain or whatever go over, but it wasn't clean because it preserves the other character, like their legitimacy. Hey, wait a minute, y'all.
Yeah.
You won, but there's no but here. There's no but.
Yeah, no, it was clean. Yeah. Well, of course, and the finish to that was the what's her pump handle slam called?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. What's the name of that?
I can't remember what it's called, but she did it to her against the turnbuckle.
No, she did it.
Caught her off the turnbuckle basically, and did it right to her again with the spicy cover. 1, 2, 3.
Put it down, bro. Put it down.
With the zesty cover. She's the queen. She's the queen of the zesty covers. Although Jade Cargill might be in that conversation.
No joke. That was so good.
Yeah, that was really good. So it's interesting now that the Judgment Day has both the men's and the women's heavyweight title. Mm-hmm. I think the Judgment Day either turns face. I hope they don't kick Dom out. I hope they just make Dom face some way, because I think Triple H has the ability to do that. Dominic is such a heel. He's one of the greatest heels of all time now. Mm-hmm. I think in order to preserve that, you turn him face for a little bit, and then you give him a reason to turn again, and then he becomes an even greater heel, right? And I think they've been trying. Okay, so interestingly enough, this goes back to when the Judgment Day was kind of fracturing. They did the sort of DX fracture storyline. Yep. R-Truth comes in and he introduces a variable, and then they start kind of going at each other. Mm-hmm. First, JD McDonough got in, which was hilarious because he's hilarious.
His big ass head.
He's got such a huge dome. But what's funny about him is he's great comic relief, because when he's in the ring getting absolutely destroyed, you're happy he's able to take this level of punishment and also be a good heel you love to root against.
That's true.
And so now there was a time where there was Senior Money in the Bank, the women's champion, the tag team, they were the tag team champions, and the North American champion.
Yep.
They had ran the table. And now they have the men's championship and the women's championship. I think they either, if they stay heel, then they heel their way to R-Truth and the Miz's title, or the other title, the other tag team title.
See that. So I could see JD and what's the face? I could see them becoming tag team champs. First of all, JD is an amazing in-ring performer. I know they goofing him out and all that other shit.
Oh, he's amazing for sure. Amazing. Him and the one dude from Imperium, the bald-headed guy they always be jobbing out.
Yes, amazing in there, amazing. And Dom is also amazing in the ring.
He's really amazing.
He's definitely improved over the last year. Like some of the shit I be saying Dom do, I'm like, yo, see, he's playing this character now being heel, so it has to be a little bit hapless. But
Right.
if this man becomes a face and starts doing all of the shit that we know he can do, having these spectacular moments and these oh my god moments and shit like that. The thing about turning him face though is a couple of things. It cannot happen overnight. They have to build towards it because he has effectively become the person that the audience loves to boo. And you got to get it to a point where the audience wants to cheer for him.
I agree with that. The only way you can do that is reverse what he did with Ray. It's that's an extension of Ray. Their boos are an extension of cheers for Rey Mysterio. It's a legacy cheer. It's like the you suck.
Thanksgiving shit he did. That Thanksgiving shit.
Yeah.
Oh, that Thanksgiving shit that Dom did brought him so much to this day. Brought him so much heat, bringing Ray over there and beating his father.
Yeah, he whooped his father's ass at Thanksgiving dinner. It was so good. But yeah, man, I feel like if they have to do something with that. Either they kick Dom out and they just become, set. It becomes Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Finn Balor, which I kind of like that version of Judgment Day, right? Like just a 3-man squad.
But Finn? Look, Finn is a former world champ, and there's nowhere in the world he's going to want to sit there. While Damian has a world championship, Rhea has a world championship, and he's just there with a naked waist.
Well, do you know what there would be a good tag team is Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio.
I agree.
I think Finn Balor and Damian Priest is kind of overkill in the tag team division because they're two main eventers that are just a tag team.
And they are, and I mentioned this the other day about the tag team division in WWE. It's sorely lacking. Like they have a few big stars, but a lot of the teams seem like filler teams to me. I look at their fucking outfits, their ring music, and their whole thing. And I'd be like, "Yeah, you're filler. You're filler."
The girls have better tag teams.
Girls have better tag teams than the guys. They do.
I agree. They
do.
Speaking of which, what is your thoughts on what I like to refer to them as Black Girl Magic? Jade Cargill, Naomi, and Bianca Belair. I mean, they were, huh?
You mean Black Excellence?
Oh yeah, Black Extraordinary. Like they were the superheroes we didn't know we needed yesterday. And I feel like, man, they got to keep them together. You started something now.
Yeah, they got to.
You done started some shit now. Yeah, and don't do them like the Hurt Business. I love the Hurt Business. Shout out MVP.
Facts.
Nah, don't do them like the Hurt Business. Don't just build them up to tear them down.
Do them like New Day.
Yeah. Or they were doing this to Bobby Lashley and the Street Profits. I'm glad they finally got their comeuppance.
Yo, I said, see, I'm glad we saw the same thing.
Yeah.
This whole past year, they used them to put over Karrion Kross's team at the expense of them. Now, I understand that. But I remember the whole time thinking, damn, I thought these, because remember when they introduced them all together? I thought they was going to get this push and start beating a whole bunch of people's asses, but instead they got embroiled with this shit here with these people who, by the way, I like those guys. I think those guys are a good addition, right? But the fact that they were going over so many times against them, I was like, yo, this is crazy. So I said to myself, I will know for a fact that they're trying to bury Bobby in his faction if at WrestleMania they lose. If they win, then all of that was actually good money because it elevated that other team, the fact that they were able to do what they did against them all year long, and it didn't bury Bobby's and them team. Their team are still valid because they won on the biggest stage of them all. Right? So it's a good, I think they struck a good balance. But for a while, I really wasn't liking that. And look, everybody knows how I feel about Paul Ellering, especially now that Hawk and Animal are gone.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Ellering is the last of the Legion of Doom. And it's great to see him back. Those guys look great as these big, tough, basically bulldozers. They look great as that. Karrion, I think I wasn't really feeling him. His first attempted run, he left, he came back. I started hearing some of his promos. It was a lot more sharp. Still wasn't in Drew McIntyre category, but it was a lot more. It was a lot more sharp than it was. Okay, all right, I'll give him a chance, right? So I feel like we'll see what they do in this upcoming year because now that the season is started over again, We'll see what they do in the upcoming year. But I'm glad. I hope it's not another year of them just doing what the fuck they want to do to Bobby's team, yo. I really don't want to see another year of them just doing what they want. Doing what they want.
Right.
Nah.
Well, I do like the presentation of the Final Testament.
I do too.
You know, they kind of remind me of like DOA, but on steroids.
Yep.
Remember DOA?
I remember DOA, yep.
DOA was dope. Kind of like the biker gang sort of attitude, and that's cool. It's a nice little theme. But the thing about the Street Profits and Bobby Lashley, and then also B-Fab, who's in that group now.
Yes.
I wasn't sure when they kind of added her. Even Bobby Lashley was kind of like, looked like he really didn't know what to do with her. But to his true kind of leadership form, he's really kind of formed them into a unit.
He did.
And I like their unison. I kind of like their, you know, the hand pump, the 3 times sort of thing in the crowd. They have this sort of, they know how to present themselves as, you know, a dominance, like a dominant sort of faction.
Absolutely.
Even if they were getting buried this whole time.
They were.
And of course, when they won, I was satisfied because I realized they were making us annoyed with the Final Testament going over so many times so that this moment could pay off the way that it did. And B-Fab getting power bombed through the table was the spot of that whole match.
It was, man. The other thing I loved about that, because it's not like it used to be. So back in the day, traditionally, the valets, they didn't really get involved unless it was to do something sneaky to cause their people to win.
Of course.
I love the fact that they, in the street, this is a Chicago street fight. Or what was it called there? Philadelphia.
Philadelphia, yeah. But
originally
the original was Chicago street fight.
Yeah, the Road Warriors in them was doing that shit. Bro, honestly, seeing them women get in there and attack the dudes, I was fucking with him. Like, yeah, because you part of the gang. You part of the gang, and you see people out there. Because I know how it is in the streets.
Hey, like, Snoop said that when he was commentating. He was like, hell yeah, my girl better jump in there. She was like, man, you see me getting beat up, you better come help me.
on somebody. Like,
what do you think about Bubba Ray's involvement?
All right, so
I'm gonna call him Bully Ray because I feel like he prefers being called Bully Ray, and I hate the WWE for just trying to act like, no, we're gonna call you what we called you when you were here. It's like, no, just call him Bully. But everybody knows him as Bully Ray now, right?
Yeah,
but,
they did.
But what'd you think about his involvement? I loved it. I personally.
Well, first of all, he is the perfect person to be involved in that because the Dudleys, for those of you who are uninitiated with the Dudleys would whoop your ass. As a matter of fact, the Dudleys were the Road Warriors successors because the Road Warriors initially were the first team to hold every major tag team title that was available during their time. They had the AWA title. They had the NWA title. They had the WWF title. These were the 3 major ones, and they were the first team to do all of that. Guess who the team that came after them that wound up doing the same thing? The Dudleys.
Oh, yeah.
They did it. They had ECW. They had the WWF. And they had the WCW. So, again, like, Bully is the perfect person for this type of match. My only hesitation is this is a street fight. You could have punched somebody if you want. And when I did kind of want to see him swing on somebody because that's his family.
Well, my only issue with his involvement in the match, and this is a very nitpicky thing. I think he was great. If I had to grade it, A-. But the one little half a point that I'm taking off is I felt like his counts were too fast.
They were. His counts. Oh, I got 2 then.
That's my only thing. I felt like is the same thing that Stone Cold complained about Mike Tyson making the counts. Remember, he was like, the count was too fast. You gotta 1, 2, 3. You know, it's gotta be. And I get it. Like, who am I to tell a wrestling legend what to do or anything like that? I'm just saying it came as from a fan, a mark. Like I want that drug out, dramatic 1, 2, 3, you know. But to be fair, I felt like there was a lot of fast counts from referees.
It was
this weekend, so it's not just him, you know.
My other issue, I remember at the time, they botched the table shit. That first table they brought out, they broke it before they had a chance.
Oh yeah, but you know, wrestling is wrestling, and I love their ability to pivot very quickly.
They did pivot. I give them that.
I
But it
mean,
was
they
noticeable.
reacted very quickly, and we knew that it was we okay. Are we going to act like we don't know that there are gimmick tables and gimmick chairs and the announcers play when they move all the stuff off the announcers table? It's funny how they never lose the ability to speak.
Right, right.
Right? Because
Right.
none of that stuff is ever connected to the main feed. The
Exactly.
main feed is
Exactly.
probably like really off to the side, and you can't, even if you wanted to, you couldn't really like, unless it was broken physically. You know, it's probably you can't mess it up as a wrestler.
Right.
The table and all the monitors on the table are all props. They may
Yeah.
be working props,
But
but
they're
they're
still
props.
props. They're still
Yeah.
props.
So it's designed for you to go through the table. They might have a little cut in them so that they break evenly because you don't want a table that splinters, and you know you want to protect your guys.
It breaks at
This
the
is
joint.
still show business, you
Yeah,
know.
it all breaks at
So
the joints. You can tell when somebody goes through there, it always breaks the same way. It
yeah,
always breaks the same way.
which also it makes me ask the question: how come we've never seen that before?
That's a good question
That's
too.
a really good consistency rate. If that's the first time we've ever seen a
Yeah,
table like pre-break and kind of see the
absolutely.
cut in it.
Yeah, because we definitely saw
Yo,
the cut in it. We definitely saw that. Also, what we saw too, I noticed with the me and my daughter was talking about this with the ladders. So when they first started doing ladder matches, it was with my first one I remember anyway was Razor Ramon
uh-huh.
and Shawn Michaels. That was the first ladder matches, right? That I remember seeing. They was using real metal, aluminum metal, like like ladders.
Were the Hardys using real metal
Yes,
ladders? Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, I
they was
think the
using
Hardys
real.
were too.
But I noticed in this and with the ladder match that we saw during WrestleMania, the way it broke, that's not aluminum. I like it. You could see the little pieces like coming from the sides of it. That's not aluminum, right?
Right,
So
right.
at some
I,
point, somebody was like, "Look, man, this shit is fucking us up."
right. I like the evolution of the ladder match that becomes the tables, ladders, and
Yes,
chairs
yes,
match,
yes,
because it's one thing to have a ladder match, and I'm sure you can use tables and ladders in the match. But it's
absolutely.
another thing to have a tables, ladders, and chairs match when the objective is like, oh yeah, I need to go get these belts, but people are trying to put me through tables from off of a ladder. So that's pretty crazy. But ultimately, I feel like that, you know, his involvement was a great involvement. I was just good to see a Dudley there. Devon was there as well at the
Right.
Hall of Fame ceremony. There was a
Yeah.
lot of people at the Hall of Fame ceremony. I'm glad
Mm-hmm.
Stephanie's back. She looks
Mm-hmm.
happy. Um, but it's like Devon, or I'm sorry, Bubba being involved in that, and him doing the get the
The
tables and the what's
tables.
up and all of his
Yeah,
normal hits and everything,
it was good. It was
which is great. What did you think about we did cover the Rhea Ripley thing, right?
yeah. We didn't
Barely.
cover Bailey. Bailey
Oh,
though.
Bailey. Let's do Bailey. Yeah,
So,
Io Sky and Bailey.
first of all, let's give a shout out to EO Scott.
Mm,
Something that Michael Cole said in the commentary is 100% the truth. Even as the world champ, it seemed like people overlooked her. She didn't get the same gravitas as some of the other female world champions.
mhm.
Because the reality is, EO is a nut in that ring.
Yeah, she really is.
All the stuff that EO does.
She's comedically talented. Like
Oh my
it's
goodness.
hilarious how
Yes,
talented she actually is.
yes, bro. She is amazing. But the issue with her, I've seen with male champs that come in. Some people are just transitional champions until the next real big superstar with the brand recognition name and all that gets their hands on the belt. There's such a thing as transitional champions, right? And I
Mhm.
feel like that's kind of what she served her purpose. And the one thing I also know, me and my daughter was talking about this too. Years ago, the Asian wrestlers that could not speak English, they had managers, they had people speaking for them, right? And they would say what they were going to say. And I think with the introduction of the fact that a lot of the American audience is fascinated with manga, fascinated with anime, They watch subtitled stuff all the time now. They've grown accustomed to hearing the Japanese language being spoke and all of that.
Mhm.
You would have never saw back in the day what we saw with the way to build up to this, where they would have Io Sky speaking not even attempting to speak English, speaking Japanese, and having the subtitles underneath. And they would have never done that before.
No, they would have forced him because they did that with Shinsuke. They tried to
They
make
did
him
Shinsuke.
speak English, and it was like, nah, you should just do the cut promos that
That's it.
are recorded, pre-recorded, and it's like the people can understand the sentiment and they can read what he's saying and what she's saying and all that type of stuff. So I agree with that. I love the whole. We're just gonna do subtitles. We're not gonna try to make you speak English.
Nope.
You know, if you, I'm sure they know English, and I'm sure they know enough to be able to communicate their
I know
matches.
more English than I know Japanese.
Yeah, seriously, absolutely, absolutely, for sure. So I'm not taking anything away from that because the English is not their first language. But
Right.
I also see this as another Triple H sort of decision where it's just like, look, nobody wants to try to hear you struggle through English when I can just hear you speak your natural language, your natural inflections, and you can act.
And you can act. And that's the one thing about Io Sky. When she was doing the breakdown about Bailey, that's the thing that I caught the most. The acting and how she said what she was saying, right? The conviction. She would not have had that, I don't believe, if they'd have forced her to speak English up there. But speaking in her language is natural. And I watch anime sometimes too, so I was very used to the subtitle right there. Like it didn't bother me.
Didn't bother me at all. Right? Yep. Hell, I watch subtitles on Star Trek.
Right, facts.
It's like, I mean, I don't care if I like it, if I know it, if it's English, I always watch subtitles. So I have no issue with subtitles at all. The actual match itself, again, we just have to give Bailey so much credit with her ability to put, like, she's one of the best salesmen
absolutely
ever.
Bro.
Like she can sell so well everybody's moves. And her, I love that she does the Macho Man elbow.
Yeah, bro.
And it's so nasty. It's just like she comes across like the side of Io pretty floppy, and I'm like, ooh, damn, that looked like it really hurt because I think she overshot the jump.
Yeah, she did.
But but it was like, yo, she really laid it out on the line. And I don't know what the crowd was singing. The crowd was like singing this chant, and I didn't know what it was related to. I thought maybe you knew.
No, I did not catch it. I know they were singing something, but I couldn't quite make out what they were saying or what it was.
And I couldn't see anybody in the front row singing it
either. So I don't know where this was coming from. You think they was piping that? And if they was piping it in, nobody can understand it.
Yeah, I didn't understand that at all. The match itself was good, but I was kind of annoyed with that.
Me too.
And so it was they put on a great match. I think there was a move where Io Sky did like a combination of
my goodness, yes.
It's like, yo, she is amazing. And she may not have been the champion that was going to be well known here in the States or anything like that. I'm sure her visibility in Japan has gone up way high.
Yeah, I've guaranteed she goes there. She's a superstar. Because the one thing about wrestling, a lot of the wrestlers that we see over here as mid-carders, they go over to Japan. They ain't treated like no mid-carders over there.
Yeah.
Not at all, bro.
Yeah. That's how it was with Vader. Vader was over here treated like he was like some sort of second tier star, when apparently in Japan he was like the biggest thing going.
Bro, it's a lot of them. Like look at the wrestler Stan Hansen. They love Stan Hansen over there, and bro, he also wrestled a lot different in Japan than he did over there. So did Hulk Hogan, by the way. Hulk Hogan fought over there in Japan. He wrestled a lot different. You saw a lot more moves from him. Yeah, bro, drop kicks and shit. Like, yeah, Hogan. I mean, it's just, I think it's because of the expectations of the audience. You got to know the audience that you're performing in front of. And one thing about Japanese audiences, they're very polite. They're very polite. But certain things they expect to see with that wrestling. You know what I'm saying? Now, and they love to see big Westerners, like big guys, because they don't have a lot of big guys. At least at one point they didn't have a lot of big guys over there. So the bigger the wrestler that would come over, they'd be an attraction. They'd be an attraction. You got some 7-foot monster You know what I'm saying? Coming over there and standing in front of the crowd, taking pictures with people. You know?
And she's so small. We were talking about it earlier, and how the belt looks so big on her. Like it's like she's a tiny girl, and but she's able to like cover so much ground.
She's so
She
nasty.
covers. She hits the ropes really. Probably the best woman rope hitter.
Yes.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean, Nia Jax is really good too.
Nia's good at it. And I would say Asuka, but Asuka's
she's one of the greatest
prime,
ever. Her prime Asuka is greatest. Yeah, she might be the greatest ever. She might be the greatest ever.
Yeah, her prime, man.
Yeah.
To me, she's the one that bona fide, authentically has the torch from the great Muta. Like Asuka, her prime, she was so nasty that people were scared. They didn't want to get in the ring with them kicks. Well, nobody tried to get in the ring with them. Remember Tajiri?
Yeah, I do. I was gonna say, if you take all the Japanese wrestlers, male and female, in the West, Asuka's the greatest Japanese the greatest Japanese wrestler of all time in the West. It's not even close. I mean, you might go to what was the dude? God damn, I can't remember his name.
He was from the Attitude Era.
He was from the Attitude Era. He was the light heavyweight champion for a long time. I
remember his name too, bro.
Michinoku. Taka Michinoku.
That's it. That's it.
Taka Michinoku.
He was nice. He was nice. He was
nice.
But you know the problem with him is branding. It was branding. Like, they didn't really know what to do with him. But with Asuka, they got the branding right. They got her marketing right. They got her look right. I
was just gonna say, for the record, I don't count Yokozuna as Japanese since he was Samoan.
He's Samoan. He's Samoan. Like,
I know Vince didn't know what the hell he was doing. But.
First of all, we're not doing that. He's Samoan. He belongs on the tree.
Yeah.
Nah, B.
Yeah, dog. Nah. So that's amazing. Man. So, one other thing in the Bayley match. What did you think about her finisher, the Rose Plant?
I didn't expect her to use that.
That thing is nasty.
It is you plant your head right up on the stage, straight up on your head on the mat. That's like
and Io sold the hell out of it. She sold the hell out of it. She almost stood up on her head when it happened. It was like, ooh, that was nasty. And then she goes up for the big elbow, I think. No, it was the big elbow. Then she hit her with another rose plant.
She tried to hit her with the first rose plant.
The counter. Oh my goodness, that counter.
She's amazing, yo. Io Sky is amazing. She is her in-ring is crazy. Absolutely.
Yo, I totally forgot about that. Totally forgot about that counter.
Something me and Cindy was talking about too while all this was going on. It was like, it is a far cry from what it was when we started watching wrestling and these women matches. Like, I watched Medusa Michelli versus Wendy Richter. And I gotta say it, those matches were boring, bro. Those matches were boring. And it's not that Wendy Richter wasn't a great athlete. She was. Medusa Michelli was a great athlete, who, by the way, wound up becoming Scary Sherry. Great.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, great. These are great athletes, but the expectations were different back then in the training and in the way they delivered in the middle of the ring. I think one of the biggest things we've seen, especially with this WrestleMania here, but this has been going on for a while now, is the elevation of the women superstars, because
agreed.
I look every bit as forward to a lot of their matches as I do with the guys, and that has not always been the case. It has not always been the case.
Yeah,
I know they're going to give us some shit.
Yeah, you know how I feel about Bayley on the mic. I think she's probably the best on the mic for any woman ever.
Oh yeah.
I think Rhea Ripley probably will be the greatest women's champion in American history. Probably. Yeah. I think Nia Jax is probably the best female heel of all time. I think Becky Lynch is an all-time legend. Carried the company.
Yeah, she carried the company.
You got the Kabuki Warriors still in play there. So
fire, bro. They were so and they still got the tag team belts, so that's great.
Yeah,
so fire, yo. They are so fire, man. It's like, and I didn't feel this way about a lot of the former ones. Like I love Jackie. I like Victoria, right? I thought Victoria was dope.
Yeah.
And it was a few of them back
She
then.
was the one in Right to Censor, right?
No, that was Ivory. Ivory was dope.
Oh, Ivory. Yeah, that's right. I liked Ivory. I thought Ivory was really good.
So dope, yo.
Molly
Victoria,
Holly. Remember Molly
was-
Holly?
Yo, so basically what happened was the athleticism of the women stepped up long before the attention to it did. You know what I'm saying? Like the women were getting better in the ring, better with their choreography and the stuff they was doing in the matches, but it wasn't being exploited as much as it is now. Cause now when I see there's a women match, I'm like, who is it? Oh no, I'm watching this. They deliver, and you got to give them their props for it. You got to, like, they're every bit. They're taking this hard ass bumps because back in the day they wouldn't let a lot of the ones that were in the division take hard bumps. They taking hard bumps now, bro.
Yeah, it's interesting because like the damage control and the they don't really have a name, but we're just gonna call them Black Girl Magic for now. Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi. I felt like they weren't as quote unquote polished when it came to the actual moves, but they were far more believable, right? There's a lot of choreography that goes into pro wrestling, and it sometimes will take you out of your suspension of disbelief. And this is the thing I love about Jade Cargill, is that she's not like a super technical wrestler, that she's presented as like a monster. And that's exactly what we wanted to see. We wanted to see her just manhandle these little Japanese girls, and not to make it about that, but it's just the optics of that looked really good to see this, these two Japanese legends go up against these beginning legends. I think Bianca has now become something of that in the WWE. And then Naomi on the independent circuit, and then of course Jade Cargill has as much buzz as anybody in the industry. It was a good moment to put them over, and I know they all work together and they're all friends and all that type of stuff. It was just a master class of displaying each other's strengths and hiding each other's weaknesses and being able to put on something really entertaining. So shout out to Jade Cargill and Naomi and Bianca Belair, because they had a fantastic match against Damage Control. Damage Control is also a very entertaining heel group. I feel like as a heel group, they're some of the best women. I feel like it'd be great if they had someone like a Nia Jax, like another sort of monster in their group, but they don't really have that. They don't have like that monster. Maybe Bayley could have been that if she would have stayed in Damage Control, but it's not like the monster that is Jade Cargill or Nia Jax or Rhea Ripley. Those are monster type characters.
When you see Bayley, when she stood there and had that face to face with Rhea, there are levels to monsterhood.
Yep.
Rhea is an eldritch abomination.
She really is. She really is. She moves better than most of the males on the main roster. Like she absolutely
really
does.
Athletic, bro. And she's always been
extremely athletic.
She's always been athletic. Like when she first came there and she still had her hair blonde and was doing the whole baby face thing. Mm-hmm. Very athletic, bro. That's the first thing we noticed about her.
Do you know who she reminds me of as far as her athleticism?
Who's that?
The Rock.
Yeah, she's very similar.
Yep.
Very similar. Like she has good time. This is the other thing people I think overlook with what these folks do. Your timing does have bearing on how your in-ring is going to come off. Timing.
Yeah.
Be able to catch somebody coming from off them ropes where it looks clean, it's not super loosey, that shit matters.
It's funny. I was just saying that when you stepped away for a second, I basically said that, Jade, Naomi, and Bianca weren't as technically polished as, let's say, Damage Control, but I think it also was more believable. Mm-hmm. It was more like it didn't break my suspension of disbelief, because the problem with a lot of the indie and other sort of culture wrestling is that there's a lot more choreograph in it.
Absolutely.
And I didn't feel that way where Jade, Naomi, and Bianca were doing just a choreography. I felt like they were, portraying a fight as, or portraying wrestling as a fight.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like, me and my girls are in this fight, so we in this fight. Whereas on the Damage Control side,
They're doing
it
choreography.
felt more choreography. And so that's why I appreciate it not being so clean and so technical when it came on the Black Girl Magic side.
And there's definitely a balance you got to strike. So when we talk about the Black Girl Magic side, you have Bianca, who is a powerhouse. She is definitely one of the strongest women on the roster. And now
She lifted Otis.
She lifted Otis' big ass, right? So we not doing that. And now you got Jade over there, who's extremely strong, extremely powerful, right? She lifted Nia Jax like she was nothing. Just
Yeah, she really did. She's basically Storm, right?
She's basically Storm right now, right? So I feel when it comes to these sorts of wrestlers, you have to judge them differently. Powerhouse wrestlers typically have a move set that complements their physical gifts. Physical gift being super strong, durable, having weight behind their punches, kicks, whatever. So for a powerhouse wrestler to throw a great clothesline, that is technical for them. To do a great boot, big boot, that's technical for them. This is the type of wrestler they are. When you start talking about the other wrestlers with the different styles that lead more toward kind of like the luchador type styles, they're also complemented by their physical attributes, which is speed, agility, this sort of thing. So I typically don't judge them off the same stuff. Like, for instance, Kane. Kane at one point was one of the best big men in the business.
Oh, he's the best big man in the business.
Real talk. When he come off the top rope with that clothesline, it was clean. When he hit you with a choke slam, it was clean. It wasn't a bunch of loose movement. No, yeah. Bop, bop, bop. So I might see a Bret Hart, and I know his mat game is on point, but I don't expect Kane to have a mat game.
Right.
Like, Kane needs to be good at what he does, and he's with him is power. So if he can do all the power moves clean, still protecting the opponent from getting hurt real bad, but yet it still looks epic, like he's laying the boom down on him. To me, that makes him a great technical wrestler because he's technical with his style, and everybody can't do it. I've seen enough big dudes. People think those moves are simple. I've seen enough big dudes get up there and try to do I'm the big guy, and the moves look sloppy. They don't quite get up under the guy enough. So when they lift him up for the slam, it's all kind of loose and he can barely get him because the weight is shifting wrong. Like, right. I've seen all these things before. I've seen enough of it to know there are good big men and they're shitty big men. Just like they're good, fast-paced, flashy move wrestlers, and they're ones of them that really need to either get more training with that shit or stop doing it because they're going to hurt somebody or themselves.
Yeah, and stop trying to make it. I feel like the more believable it is, the less you probably have to like oversell it.
Absolutely.
And I feel like there's a fine line between that, because there's people out there who sell very well shitty moves. Mm-hmm. It's just like, that's a bad move. That guy just made it look really good. I don't really like that move at all. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It looks too choreographed. Just because he can do it doesn't mean that it should be sort of the staple. But ultimately that's more of an evolution of wrestling sort of thing. Yeah. I think with Jade and just specifically Jade, I don't want her to look that polished right now.
No, I want her like a powerhouse, yo.
Yeah, I want her to be a monster. They're building her as a monster. She's running through Nia Jax and running through the finishes. Although she had a good sell moment in there, actually.
She did.
I actually thought she was injured when she got kicked from behind. Really got hurt. Yeah. And I was like, did she just, because I thought she might have bitten her tongue or something.
Yeah, that's what I thought. She kept holding her mouth.
I was like, she kept holding her mouth, and I was like, ooh, that was a nasty bump. And then as soon as she moved into her spot for the finish, it was like, oh, okay, good sell, great sell, because I had no idea if you were hurt or not. That was some Seth Rollins level of selling right there.
It was, and Seth knows how to sell. You be feeling so bad for him. Like, yo, he's hurt, yo. He's like, ah.
He's the best vocal seller I
He
think I've
is.
ever heard.
He
He's
is, man.
so good. When he was getting whipped and he was
Um,
writhing in pain. And let's be real, I know those are gimmick belts. They probably don't hurt as much as they sound like they hurt,
mhm.
but it was
It's
to
still
the
a
way
near
he
300-pound man.
yeah, he's totally. So
The
I'm a
Rock
big
is
fan. So
almost 300 pounds, bro. Now, listen, it may be a gimmick belt, but I'm sure you felt the sting, some of that sting on it.
oh yeah, no, in order to get the sound, you definitely got to bring it down
Yeah.
pretty hard. But I don't think it was like a real like belt
No, because
that would
I've gotten my ass whipped as a kid.
yeah.
When you get hit with a real belt with true intentions on doing harm, it's going to leave a mark, B.
Yeah, whelps. And I didn't see anything on Cody's
Neither.
back on both nights of WrestleMania, and he got whipped on Thursday. So,
Right.
yeah, man. So, just final thoughts on this WrestleMania as a whole. I think we've gotten every match. I think we covered Gunther. We covered,
Yes.
obviously the Rock Roman tag team match. We don't really need to get into it because I will say this.
Mhm.
It was great in the context that they didn't bury the team of Roman and The Rock, but we all knew the writing on the wall when that happened. Like
Yeah.
it was almost like it foreshadowed that Cody was going to overcome this
Yep.
amazing set of odds the
All these
next day.
odds. Yep. Yep.
However, I do feel like it set up the Drew and Seth thing perfectly because
It
now
did.
Seth was injured, and when that match started, Drew just hits him with a
Bro,
claymore.
he comes out the gate with the claymore, bro. He comes out the gate with the claymore.
He just says ding 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 claymore. You're like, what the hell? Oh man. And then of course he hits him with like 5 claymores that match. And of course, finally he really
laid
does
him
it.
down. I feel like too, so I may have choreographed some parts of it a little different. Still was a great match. But when he hit him with the claymore, like my wrestling instinct from watching it all these years and also doing it with my friends, and I wrestled in high school, but it wasn't like this. But still,
Right.
like for me, you hit him because he's already hurt. You know he's not 100%. You hit him with your big move up front, and then you get into your routine because now you've knocked down his hit points significantly. So you get into your regular shit, you hit him with the glass coat kiss, you do all the other stuff, you put it on him. You put it on him like a porn star. And then you start hitting him with, your big signature attacks. But at first, I ain't gonna lie, it felt like, are they rushing it? Are they really rushing through this like that? That's what it felt like, they was rushing it. But they did kind of get back into the rhythm of a match. And you got to see Seth do his thing. Yo, he sold the hurt knee so well that when he was doing the stomp, you could tell he wasn't getting all of it. And you had the reason. His knee can't come down. Yo, this is proper selling, bro. This is proper selling 101, right?
The only seller who's greater than Seth Rollins is what's my man's name? God damn, he was back in the day. Now I can't remember his name. But he was a fantastic seller. Blonde haired dude.
Dolph Ziggler?
Dolph Ziggler. Why could I
a-
not? Because he changed his name, right? Didn't he change his name
he's
recently?
Not Dolph now. Yeah,
He's not Dolph anymore. That's why I kind of trying to program this out of my mind. But yeah, Dolph Ziggler was the only person I think of just from that generation who's better than
He
Seth.
looks hurt, bro. Like when he be getting beat down, like it looks painful. You feel bad for like, yo, he really hurting that man.
Yeah. And then of course when Cody won, he was out there just standing around, chilling, walking. Yeah. He was holding people up on his shoulders.
Yeah, he was fine. Yo, I still say though that one scene where he goes through the ropes and shakes Seth's hand. I feel like that meant something, bro. Like because they were enemies. They were flat out enemies,
Right. Well, yeah. But the thing is like Seth has now. So this is the thing that I was curious about the Seth thing, where he's a babyface now. He's been a babyface for a while.
Yeah.
But he was a heel. He was with the Shield, and he was it was a heel for a lot of people.
That Monday Night Messiah shit.
Yeah.
Like a leader and shit. Yeah.
Yeah. But then my question is, why do the Shield thing if Moxley can't be a part of it?
I think, well, yeah, because when the music started playing, I said, "Yo, did they just sign Moxley back in there?" That's what I thought,
Yeah,
right? That's what I
that's what I
thought.
thought too.
So
At least for one night, pay the man for one night.
give him a
This
big
is the
ass
thing why I don't like about the whole beef between AEW and WWE, because it's like there's money to be made on both sides.
agreed, and it's good for I think it's good for the wrestlers, and I think it's good for the business and as a whole. It adds a certain level of believability. Like, also, all y'all was real close, and then some shit going down. Now you ain't involved, and y'all ain't got nothing going on yourself over there in
Yeah.
AEW as far as a pay per view at that night. Who would dare program a pay per view next to WrestleMania? That's idiocy, right? To do another wrestling show next to WrestleMania, but at the same time, it adds believability because y'all homies, right?
Right.
I ain't over the AEW don't got a pay per view going on. This is WrestleMania. I'm gonna show up for my guy. I'm gonna show up for my guy. It would have been nice to do. Here's a couple of ways I think they kind of messed that spot up. One, the cameraman was out of position. When after they did the music, the Shield music came on, and Seth ran in the ring, we didn't actually get to see him run in the ring. What we saw was what's the name catching him mid attack, right?
Yeah, Roman Reigns hit him with the Superman punch.
Yeah, hit him with the Superman punch. We didn't actually see him get in the ring. Because the cameraman was on Roman as he ran through, and that's the first thing I thought. I said, cameraman was out of position, because if anything, you should have panned it back. And maybe this is my video editing shit. You should have panned the camera back so we could see the entire thing. So all we wound up seeing was, all of a sudden, Roman's running. He hits the Superman punch. The composition of the actual shot was Seth at the far end of the screen, where you didn't even see his entire body. You saw the chair fall down, and then you saw him fall down. And then the camera went over, and you saw him lying on the ground. And I think that kind of ruined the effect for us at home. I'm sure the people that were at the thing, they saw the whole thing, like, yo! But yeah, that part I did notice. And him not having Moxley there also was it kind of takes away from
It does.
the effect. But I think if I'd have got a chance to at least see him get in the ring, right, I think that would have helped a little bit more. But this was them paying off that promo that they did in the ring, where he basically told Cody, "I will be your shield." This was the payoff.
And he totally paid it off by being the target that Roman chose when he took the shot, and then Cody gets the advantage after Roman gets the chair away. Because I think, Seth knew, like, if I come out in just regular Seth gear, he wants to defeat Cody, so he may not pay attention to me. But if I come out here as the greatest heel turn backstabbing moment of all time, wearing that gear, Plan B, authority. Roman will have no choice.
Psychological. It was all psychological. It was like, yo, if I come out like I was dressed the other day as a
clown emoji
and shit, right? If I come out with that, like you said, it's potential he'll ignore me, but if I come out in the Shield stuff psychologically, because he knows Roman, he's always had Roman's number, and he knows, hey, this was a pivotal moment in your career when I did what I did to you. This still bothers you, despite all your success, despite everything. This still bothers you. I'm gonna come out with my Shield shit on.
And that's because Roman liked being in the Shield, right? That's his actual preferred sort of mood and temperature. But because he had to become the tribal chief, because of that, it's like, oh, okay, you want to bring that out of me? You want me to reminisce what you did in the most sort of betrayal moment? It's like, yeah, dog, he had to go after Seth, and of course, giving the advantage to Cody. And then, of course, when the actual crossroads was being hit on that second one, and I saw Paul Heyman's face.
I love
it. Paul Heyman's selling, but you could also see it. It was coming. And it was like, oh shit, they're gonna do it. They're gonna do it. And they fucking did it. And
no!
he said no. and straight villainy, right?
Great
He's a
villain.
total villain, right? And I love Paul Heyman because he's the greatest orator in wrestling
He
history.
is. He is.
But knowing that that was coming, but also seeing everything that Roman had done, not only to him, said
Yeah.
about him, what he
Yeah.
allowed The Rock to do to him, what he
Yeah.
allowed Paul Heyman to do to him.
Yeah.
It was just like, wow, they're going to pay this off in the way we all want it to be paid off. Roman fan, Cody fan alike, Rock fan alike, everyone wants to see this paid
I
off in that way.
prioritize the story. I
Me
prioritize
too.
for the story. Like, if this makes me feel a way at the end, like, yeah, yo, this is it.
What a great
That's all I
movie.
care about. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's it.
it's like what a great movie. And to be fair to Triple H, we opened this starting about Triple H. I guess we'll close it talking
Mhm.
about Triple H because
Mhm.
this is the Paul Levesque era. How much do you think he's probably getting offers for to come direct, to
Oh,
come to some, you know, political strategist sort of like, hey, you know, make our candidates look like a million. Like when you do something like this and you put something on like this, you get calls from other industries.
yeah.
I saw Triple H on a it's like a shoe like documentary where he's talking about like Nikes and shit, and I'm like, yeah, I guess you know you could see Triple H do, but no, he's talking about shoe contracts for wrestlers.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you kidding me, bro?
No. No. Because why not?
Because why not?
Why not?
There should be a Roman Reigns pair of Jordans. There
Fact.
should be a Cody line of New
Facts.
Balance, bro. Are you
Facts.
kidding me?
Facts.
Of course there should be. And Triple H is a genius
Yeah.
for even thinking along those lines.
Yeah.
So to me, it's like if all of that comes with the marketing of telling a fantastic story that's lasted over 2 years, and you've brought in every character with the exception of Austin.
Yep.
And Austin did do a WrestleMania a couple years ago. So
He
let's
did.
you know,
And he fought last year. He fought
yeah.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, he was him and Kevin Owens, right?
Yeah, he fought Kevin Owens last year.
Yeah.
That's
So,
what
you know, I'm not mad at that. But this right here, Cody deserved to go over. I think we were all Cody crybabies last night. And
we all were.
yeah, and to be fair, I just want to say thank you, Roman. Thank you,
Yeah.
Paul. Thank
Yeah.
you, both Pauls.
Facts.
Everybody who was involved in this. I think Solo
Giving us a
Sikoa.
great 2.5 years of content that it was a hearty meal. It wasn't one of these little fast food. Nah.
I love it. It was a
It was
hearty meal. I
man.
love it, bro.
Like we gotta give them their props for that, because I will always remember this era, the Roman Reigns. I will always remember that. Always remember the bloodline. Some of the coolest things that happened in content creation, period, in the last 2.5 years happened because of the bloodline. The Uzi thing. He's not.
Oh yeah,
bro. Sammy coming out with the blood when they gave him the shit. Bro, Jay, after hating Sammy all this time, hugging out with him. Like, yo, it was a lot here, bro. It was a lot here. It was a lot here.
There was so much. And I guess finally, Monday Night Raw is tonight. So if you're listening to this after Monday Night Raw, of course, we haven't talked about Monday Night Raw because this is going up, you know, on a Monday afternoon sort of thing.
Right.
I will say that whatever happens on Monday Night Raw, right, tonight, I think we should separate it from what we have just seen and what this has been connected to and expect a pivot towards the future into this new era.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel like when Austin beat Shawn at WrestleMania 14, we knew something had changed.
Yes.
When Rock beat Austin at WrestleMania 17, we knew something had changed.
Yeah.
There are these moments when Brock Lesnar beat Undertaker. We knew something had changed. And honestly, bro, the world shifted last night. Cody Rhodes beat Roman Reigns. Something has changed.
Something has changed. Yeah. Yeah. And now I have the confidence, finally, to say whatever direction that they're going to go now that it's the Cody era, I have confidence in that I'm going to watch and see what they do because I saw what they just did.
Yep.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Well, it was it's a joy to go through this with you. I mean, ultimately, we both super professional wrestling fans going back
Absolutely.
many and many years. And I
Absolutely.
just hope anybody who watched this yesterday got out of it what we got out of it. And
Yeah.
just as wrestling fans, I think this is a good place. I'm tired of seeing so much tribalistic shit between AEW fans and WWE
Facts.
fans. It's just
Facts.
old. It's just tired. No one cares.
Y'all
I
get on
mean,
my
if you
nerves with that shit.
yeah, dog. Like if you care about AEW so hard, like why are you talking about WrestleMania? You know,
Facts.
like, and if you're a WWE fan, why are you worried about what AEW's
Yeah.
attendance is? Like, who
Yeah. Who
cares?
cares?
Who gives a shit? Like, why are you want to just
Got
rub
what
it
you want.
in?
You got one of the greatest enders. Come and y'all still. It's dumb. It's dumb.
So I agree. Well, brother, until next time, go check us out on Patreon if you want to listen to more episodes of us talk about things like comics, pro wrestling, movies, extropy and entropy, Majestic Comics sort of stuff. Patreon.com/Majestic Comics, or you can follow us on social media at all the other social media sites, Instagram, Twitter as Majestic Comics. All right.
Absolutely.
Peace,
Peace.
peace.